Welcome everyone. This is Brother Doug. We are the Awakened by Yahuwah Assembly and Yahuwah Almighty and Yahushua Messiah. My sister Shoshana here is to my left. We have Sister Sally to my right. Brother Dennis is below me with our sister Susan, and we're going to continue our Torah study today. I'm going to be using, as I've been using, the Targum, Aramaic translation of the Pentateuch. So let me just get that up real quick so we can start going. And we left off finishing Genesis 21 last time. We'll be reading one chapter of Genesis, and if we have enough time, we'll be starting Job in our part 2, if we have enough time for part 2. So here we go. So let me go to the correct one. I like the Caleb's one a little bit better. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we go to chapter 21, so that would be 18 to 22, 18, 19, 20, 21, and yep, so we're going to start 21 here. Here we go. It says, and Yahuwah remembered Sarah as he had said, and Yahuwah did unto Sarah according as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived and bare unto Abraham a son in his old age, in the time of which Yahuwah had told him. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised Isaac his son, the son of 80 days. Oh no, my bad, not 80, 8 days, as Yahuwah commanded him. And Abraham was the son of 100 years when Isaac his son was born to him. And Sarah said, Yahuwah has made me to have gladness. Everyone who hears will give me joy. Kind of reminds me of when Miriam was pregnant with Yahusha a little bit. And she said, trustworthy is he who spake unto Abraham and certified that Sarah should suckle children, for she has borne a son in his old age, and the children grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast in the day when Isaac was weaned. I just want to make a little note here. This is not his birthday, okay? So I know some people try to use this as an excuse. Oh, well, we can make a feast for our children's birthday. No, that's not what being weaned is talking about, okay? And Sarah observed the son of Hagar the Mitzritha, which means Egyptian, Mitzrite, and whom she bare to Abraham deriding, and she said, cast out this handmaid and her son. So basically, to her, it looks like Ishmael was kind of making fun of her son Isaac, and she took it personal. That's pretty much what was going on. And according to Jasher, he was actually playing what was it, a bow and arrow or something in the book of Jasher, and he was like she was very concerned for her son. So in extra biblical texts, they kind of give a more insight into why she was so concerned for her son. She wanted to cast out Hagar. She said, cast out this handmaid and her son, for the son of the handmaid shall not inherit with my son, with Isaac. And the word was evil exceedingly in the eyes of Abraham on account of his son. And Yahuwah said to Abraham, let it not be evil in the eyes concerning the youth and concerning your handmaid. And all that Sarah said to you receive from her, because in Isaac shall your sons be called to you. So it's interesting, even though he has 2 sons, the lineage that comes from Isaac is known as his seeds, or his actual true sons. It's very interesting. And Yahuwah basically says, listen to your wife. You know, his wife didn't want Hagar to be there anymore, so Yahuwah is actually telling him to listen to Sarah. And also the son of the handmaid will I set for a people, because he is your son. And Abraham rose up in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave to Hagar, setting upon her shoulder and the youth, and dismissed her. And he went and wandered in the desert of the well of Shavah, and the waters was finished from the skin. And she laid the youth under one of the trees and went and sat over against, as far as a bow flight. Interesting. For she said, I cannot see the death of the child. And she
So what
said,
people did Ishmael become?
well, it depends on who you listen to. Certain people believe all the Arabic nations that seem to fight against Yashrael were coming from Ishmael. So it depends on, there's only theories. We don't know for sure.
Okay.
But some people believe these, jihadists and all this, that they come from Ishmael. I don't know. I really don't know. I would have to do some geography study and genealogical studies. Some people believe that those that are deceived with the Muslim religion came from Ishmael, and they've been deceived into believing in the Islam religion. I really don't know. So I don't want to lie. I have no idea. That's something that the viewers and listeners can research for themselves. I really don't know. Okay, it says, for she said, I cannot see the death of the child. And she sat over against and lifted up her voice and wept. And the voice of the youth was heard before Yahuwah. And guess who comes along? The angel of Yahuwah called, or in Hebrew would be Malach Yahuwah. There's no of in the Hebrew. So, and Malach Yahuwah called to Hagar from the heavens and said to her, what to you, Hagar? Fear not, for the voice of your youth is heard before Yahuwah. In the place where he is, arise, take up the youth and strengthen your hand in him, because for a great people have I appointed him. And Yahuwah opened her eyes, and she saw the well of waters. Now that's interesting. Yahuwah opened her eyes. You can definitely spiritualize that to mean a lot of different things, especially in the New Testament when Satan is the one that has the scales over our eyes. That's very interesting. And went and filled the skin with water and gave the youth to drink. And the word of Yahuwah was the helper of the youth. And he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became a master of the bow. Who's also a master of the bow. Kind of interesting. So, you got Nimrod, who was a hunter. So that's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Little parallel there between Ishmael and Nimrod. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took for him a wife from the land of Mitzrayim. And it was at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the chief of his army, spake to Abraham, saying, the word of Yahuwah is your helper. That's kind of interesting. So pagan knows about the word of Yahuwah. Interesting. In everything you do, now swear to me here by the word of Yahuwah that you will not be false with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the tube which I have done to you, that you will do with me. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. This is a pagan that understands that, mind you. And with the land in which you are a sojourner, and Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved or corrected Abimelech on the account of the well of waters, which the servants of Abimelech had taken by force. And Abimelech said, I knew not if this thing would have been done, and you have not shown me, nor have I heard, but this day. And Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave to Abimelech, and they struck both of them a covenant. And Abraham made 7 lambs stand apart. And Abimelech said to Abraham, what are these 7 lambs which you have made to stand apart? And he said, that you may take the 7 lambs from my hand to testify for me that I have digged that well. So he's using these lambs as a witness. Interesting. Therefore, he called that place Beer-Shavah, because there they swear together, and they struck a covenant at Beer-Shavah. And Abimelech and Phicol and the chief of his army arose and returned to the land of the Philistines. And he planted a tree in Beer-Shavah and prayed there in the name of Yahuwah, the Most High Elohim. Interesting. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistine many days. So again, Abraham knows actually the Father's name. He's calling in the praying in the Father's name, not praying to him, calling him Al Shaddai. because I know there's some people that believe Abraham never knew Yahuwah by his actual name. They only knew by the title Al Shaddai. I would strongly suggest you read this last verse here in chapter 21, especially in the Aramaic Targum. So anyway, that was a pretty interesting chapter. We have a couple minutes to kind of really see if anyone has anything they would like to share about it. We got a couple of minutes left here, so I'm going to unmute Brother Dennis, Sister Sally. If anyone has anything they want to say, go ahead.
I thought it was interesting that the version you read said the word of Elohim was with him.
Yeah, it actually said the word of Yahuwah, actually.
The word
Elohim,
of Yahuwah, okay.
Actually, Elohim is not mentioned until the last verse of that chapter, and it's only mentioned as a title, like the Most High Elohim. So that's the only time Elohim is mentioned in this. That phrase is even used in the Targum in this chapter. So that's
the Hallelujah scripture says Elohim. It doesn't even say the word of Elohim.
Yeah, unfortunately that's them trusting in the Masoretic text there. Yeah, so it actually should say the word of Yahuwah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, the Aramaic Targum, for people that don't know about it, is a manuscript way back. It goes around supposedly at least one of the Targums. There's 3 different Targums. There's the Jerusalem Targum, where there's only fragments found of it. And then there's full Targums like the Targum of Jonathan ben Uziel and the Targum of Onkelos. One of those is supposed to be way back from Palestine around the days of the captivity of Daniel. So this manuscript actually precedes way before the Masoretic text and possibly even before the Septuagint. So yeah, there's like huge differences. The word of Yahuwah you'll see a lot more in the Targum, where sometimes it will say Yahuwah instead of the word of Yahuwah. Like the word of will be kind of like omitted. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I got a lot from this chapter. I'm trying to think. So basically, Hagar was sent away because Sarah thought that her child was in danger from the other child, Ishmael. Ishmael becomes a master of the bow. I don't know if it says that in the Masoretic text, but that's kind of interesting that he becomes like a hunter. So,
becomes an archer in mine. So.
Yeah.
Maybe he was the peoples of the Indians.
Maybe. I know that supposedly later on in scripture he takes a wife in Egypt, so some of the Egyptians might even go back to him. His mother was a Mitzrite, so I mean, technically either way, a lot of the Mitzrite lineage ethnicity goes back to Ishmael just because he's an Egyptian himself. So it's very interesting. We really don't know much about him, but it seems like when he goes down to Egypt with his mother, he gets an Egyptian wife, if I'm not mistaken. But he becomes a great people. So that's a study we could do by itself, trying to figure out what great people he becomes, because that's part of a prophecy from the Father, is that he'll be. Actually, no. If you want to get technical, directly from the word of Yahuwah, so from the Son, actually promises he will be a great people. So that's another interesting difference.
So he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran.
Yeah.
And had a Mitzrayim wife, a Mitzrite wife. So, I mean, that gives you some clues.
Yeah, definitely Mitzrayim would be the first place to start, I guess. Mitzrayim would be the first place to start to see how great his lineage came from there. If there's any way to look that up. Yeah, I don't know about the whole Arabic thing. I think that's more of I'm starting to think that's more of a theory than anything else. That's more of a concocted to kind of plug in the whole war between Zionism and radical Islam. I think that's more of a
I've heard people say that if it weren't for Abraham committing adultery with Hagar and having a child, the Israelites wouldn't be plagued by the Arabs.
That wasn't even adultery. They might want to go back to.
I know. I'm just saying. I've heard people say that.
Oh, I know you don't believe that. I'm just saying people say that. They might want to go back to Genesis, where Yahuwah doesn't have any problem that he has a second wife. So that's not the problem. And polygamy is allowed by the Father. It's not a sin. So people might want to get their definition of adultery fixed a little bit according to Scripture. Adultery is like when you have relations outside of marriage. If he has 2 wives, then it's actually lawful and legal. It's not like he's sinning.
And his wife gave him her handmaid.
Yeah, hey,
wife.
Sarah, in her wisdom that she thought was because she was impatient. Both of them were impatient.
Yeah.
They were waiting for Yahuwah to give them Isaac, and they were like, they didn't trust Yahuwah all the way. That's another lesson we can learn from this. They
tried to help him.
Yeah, they're like, oh, let's have a child, by ourselves just in case he can't do